It's a Packer show. Pooh show. Ben's here. And I'm drinking a beer from Rochester, Minnesota. Says proudly brewed in Rochester, Minnesota. LittleThistleBeer.com. Be humble, drink local. Wow, that's a pretty good. Actually, those are pretty good motto to live by. Be humble, drink local. I like both those things. I know plenty of people that aren't humble and drink garbage beer like Pabst and other trash. Miller Lite, Coors changed their name. Drink some local beer. Support your local brewers, man. They make better beer anyway. Plus, it's you're not lining the fat cats' wallets. You're helping some local brewers keep the dream alive, like Raider Rick. Keep the brew dream alive. How you doing, brother? Sorry,
I don't drink beer, so I don't care.
I know, but that's my beer soapbox tonight. It's my beer box, not my beer soapbox. My beer box. What's
I'm really
up?
cold today. I don't know what's going on. I got like the shivers.
You know what?
I got like the shivers like Dad had the other day.
You have the shivers like Dad and Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, it's a good song, Shiver.
He has so many catchy songs. How is a dorky, red-haired British dude have all these catchy songs that he crosses all these genres? They're like, he's got hip-hoppy stuff, he's got pop stuff, he's got acoustic stuff, folky stuff. How does he do it? How does he? And he's not even that great of a singer, but how does he do it?
He's okay.
Explain it to me. I mean, he's fine.
My kids don't like him anymore.
I'm not saying he's a bad
but I don't know why.
I'm saying he's not like an amazing singer, but how does he make all these songs and you just like him? You just like him no matter what kind of genre or whatever direction he goes or who he features or who he partners with. It's like, it's still good. I don't get it.
He has good melodies.
He's a nerdy white dude, red hair. It's British. Like, I don't get it.
It's all right. You can be
Help
a nerd.
me out.
Yes, he writes good melodies, man. People like good melodies.
Damn, Ed Sheeran.
That's all you gotta do. Write a good melody. Nowadays, the music's so crappy. You hear a good melody and you're like, wow, that was actually good. See, he would just blend in with all the good stuff from the 80s.
Is that the case?
Yeah. But because there's nothing else good, you hear that, you hear his song and you're like, dang. That's actually good because you hear all this crap.
David's here. Hey, David. How's it down in Mississippi? Hopefully okay.
Hey, Mississippi.
Did you get hit with any of that snow, that crazy snowstorm in the south? Dave, tell me. I don't know if you guys in Mississippi got it or not, but I know they got hit in some other spots like New Orleans, which screwed up the Bucks game, and then they got all whacked out and they had to start late and they threw off their next game and all this kind of stuff. Man, but the Bucks are catching their stride a little bit, but I know they got screwed up by the weather. But the Bucks are probably like, dude, we deal with this weather all the time. What are you, wussies in Louisiana? Come on. Get some salt, put it on the roads.
They don't have any salt, though.
That's true. Well, well, then why does all my softener salt come from Texas? They got salt nearby.
Salt. It's a different kind of salt.
Well, then get some beets, some beet juice. Remember the beet juice was working pretty good on roads, too?
No.
Oh, it does. It works good. It works good, just only to like not below 0 temps. So in the South, the beet juice would work great. And it's beets. Just find some beets and juice them out. All right. Let's get into it here in the Packer and NFL world. David, did you hear anything good this week? And is Wildman Dude going to pop on here or not? I don't know. How's he feeling, by the way? Did you talk to him?
I don't know. I haven't talked to him yet.
We're shitty sons. What's wrong with us? Why didn't we talk to our dad when he wasn't feeling good the last time we saw him? Come on, man. Come on. Dad, get on here so I know you're alive, please. Anyway. All right, Ben, let's hear it. Ben Johnson to the Bears. Thoughts?
Yep.
He's the hottest coach on the market. What do you mean, yep?
All I know is he said he respects Dan Campbell and Kevin O'Connell, and then he just said that Matt LaFleur sucks ass. So I agree with everything he has to say. So what more do you want from me? So
can he turn the Bears into a winner when they haven't been a winner in such a long time?
If he's half competent, he can, because the Bears were close to being a decent team. All they need is a offensive line.
Yeah. It's not that easy to get one, though. A lot of teams know that. A lot of teams are short on offensive line. They can't find a decent one. So, but maybe he's a smart enough coach to adjust to a crappy offensive line to get the ball out of your quarterback's hands, keep him on the move. call plays that work with that garbage offensive line? I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I just think it's really odd to me because I think every coach should be an offensive coach. Every coach that's hired should be an offensive coach as a head coach.
Why? As a head coach? Why?
Yeah. Because the offensive system and offensive game plan and idea needs to coincide with your quarterback. And when your coach keeps changing all the time on offense, like look at Tampa Bay. They just lost their offensive coordinator last year to who became the head coach of Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got a new guy in, and Baker Mayfield loved him, and they were playing great together. Now they lost him to the Jaguars. And they have a defensive head coach because they have to keep signing a new offensive coordinator every time. If that guy looks good, he's the next guy to get a head coaching job.
Right. Okay. I get
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And there aren't very many defensive coaches left. But just in this last cycle, we've already seen Aaron Glenn hired to the Jets and old man Pete Carroll hired to the Raiders, 2 defensive coaches.
Gum chewing Pete Carroll.
Now, the Jets don't have a quarterback right now to grow with a coach, so it doesn't matter.
What?
They got a cruddy old piece of crap.
He'll grow. He'll grow on you. He'll grow
and the Raiders got nothing either. They got Gardner Minshew, who they gave up on, and crazy O'Connell guy with a bad mustache.
I think I might grow a good mustache, as good of a mustache as Aiden.
You don't grow
O'Connell.
a good mustache, but
but I think as good as him.
Maybe. But as far as I'm concerned, it's just the Bears made the right choice. They hired, they gave him, I don't know how much it was. The rumor is $15 million a year, which I think is more than Matt LaFleur makes.
Oh yeah, way more than Matt LaFleur.
Which would be pretty funny. But anyways, they went to the guy who's the offensive genius to work with their young quarterback to try to be something successful. And then if it works, then you got 2 guys together for years and years and years and years, which is what the Packers have done for the last how many years with going to, the one time they went to Ray Rhodes for 1 year. He was a defensive guy, and they got out the door with the Mike Sherman, who for some dumb reason they decided to make him the GM and head coach.
Smart.
Not smart. Then they got rid of him. And then they went to Mike McCarthy and so forth and Matt LaFleur. So they have all offensive coaches. And Lindy Infante before Mike Holmgren was the offensive coach.
Infante.
So was Bart Starr. So was Forrest Gregg. All those guys were offensive coaches. And even Vince Lombardi was the offensive coordinator of the Giants before he was the Lions. Before he was the Lions. Sorry. Packers head coach. Yeah. So we've only had one defensive-minded head coach for 1 year since the Ice Bowl. Or before that. Whatever.
And he got the fire thumb out the door.
Yeah. And these teams that have the defensive-minded head coaches, yes, Bill Belichick won a lot of games. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But he also had his offensive coaches didn't usually go anywhere. And if they did, they failed and came back right away.
Yeah.
Right? So they didn't. Then they just sat there. So I don't know. I just think it's weird. I think it's fine. Whatever. In my opinion, if Ben Johnson is as good as he seemed as an offensive coordinator, as a head coach, we will have the worst head coach in the NFC North.
Worst head coach after all these wins?
We'll have the worst quarterback in the NFC North.
Jordan Love, $55 million winner.
We'll have the highest paid and the worst. Yes. The highest paid quarterback and the worst. The worst coach. The worst GM. We'll have the worst of everything. I don't know how we even win any games. It's surprising to me. But anyways, good for the Bears. If the Bears could turn it around, good for them. Apparently the Packers don't want to win.
Their fans have suffered for a long time. They have like one like bright spot season every once in a while, and the fans get all excited, and then they just fall apart and crash back down. That's the history of the Bears in the last, since I don't know what, their Super Bowl win. I mean, they were kind of good, I think, in the 90s.
They got to the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning at one time.
I know, but that was like they would have like the one shine, like the same season when the Packers won the Super Bowl last. The Bears were the number 1 seed, right, in the NFC that year. But then,
no, they weren't.
I thought they were.
Atlanta was, because we beat them.
Oh, that's right. Atlanta was. My bad. Another overrated number 1 seed, but fine. The Bears won the division and won like 13 games or whatever and all that, but they just flopped out. They got Raji'd, and then had to go to their 4th quarterback or whatever. And he wasn't.
I think the the bigger thing about Ben Johnson going to the Bears and Aaron
What do you
Glenn
think it's
going
gonna
to the
do?
Jets is
Yeah.
that the Lions
are in trouble.
do they have guys who can fill those spots?
Yeah, Antoine Randall, Deuce Staley,
Is that what they said?
Mark Brunell.
Mark Brunell's there. Yeah, I mean they have
There's
a lot of
rumors Mark Brunell maybe would be the next OC. Maybe.
Well, I know that the thing I liked about Dan Campbell's team is that he had a lot of former coaches as position coaches.
Yeah.
Which is former players and NFL players as position coaches, which I thought was a very smart thing. I wish the Packers had that, but they don't. Right?
Right.
Maybe Campanelli is a former player in the NFL, but I don't know if he is.
They got a bunch of dudes who played like high school football, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe a little low level college, and then they're coaches.
Yeah, which is kind of scary to me.
Yeah,
but
sort of.
Ben Johnson, I don't know what his playing background is, but
Joe Philbin gave him the shot.
Yeah,
he got the Philbin shot, and Joe Philbin knows good people, man. So I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. But what if he turns the Bears into a winner? And it is like you say, and the Packers are the tank, the bottom feeders.
I think what's going to happen is the Lions are going to fall apart.
Lions, come on! The Lions fans can't suffer through that. JJL 2004 says Ben Johnson jinxed them by saying, "I enjoy beating Matt LaFleur." That's like Ryan Poles saying, "We're going to take the North and not give it back."
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
The Bears have talent, right? They have talent. They just need an offensive line. So if Ryan Poles is aggressive, which he probably will be in finding offensive linemen in the draft and also finding offensive linemen in free agency, if possible, maybe try to pull some trades. Who knows? But if they get an offensive line, their defense is pretty good. And they got weapons and athletic dudes. And Ben Johnson was talking about a pretty extreme culture change, like accountability for the players. We're going to start with being accountable. We're going to start with being for the team. We're going to start with being for each other. Like, I don't think the Bears have had that sort of environment for a very long time. And if he can pull that off in Chicago, sure, I could see it happening. I could see a big turnaround.
Well, I think we should get into some Goody stuff.
Hang on real quick. David says he had 6 inches of snow and the whole place was dead. 6 inches of snow is a lot for the South. I'll tell you that. Probably didn't know what was going on. Thought the world was ending or something.
I got to say, I haven't shoveled snow since I can't even remember the last time I shoveled snow. And I got to knock on wood. I'm so happy about it.
David, are you trying to say the Packers are the worst team in the North?
I don't know about that, David.
Already? I mean, I know they were they had the worst.
1-5 and got a lucky win from a hand of Carl Brooks, but I don't know.
What was the North all that great in the end?
Well, considering they got no playoff wins.
All those wins and they're all out for one and dones. Were they that great or were they overblown by their records?
I don't know.
Something to think about. All right. What do you say about Goody? Goody's got what? David said he wants Metcalf and Max. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Well,
all right.
Max Crosby is still under contract, so we probably won't
DK Metcalf. Why not? We'll get into that because that's something you talked about. What do you want to say about Goody though? What did he say?
Well, he said a couple things. Like what are the weaknesses on this team right now that need to be addressed? Like seriously though, like,
as always.
As far as position goes, what would you say the main weaknesses are?
Corner.
Yep.
Guard.
Well, I don't know about that. Pass rush.
Well, I don't want more edge rushers. We have so many edge rushers. Why?
But they suck.
Can we get a? Well,
we have a bunch of average pass rushers. We have a bunch of.
We're going to get more. So
we have hardly any corners.
Okay, go. I'm sorry. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, when Gutekunst was asked about this in the press conference, okay, they asked him about the pass rush. Is that something you want to address? And he was like, "Oh, our guys, they showed us that they're good." He was like, "No, I think they're good. They showed us they could do it. We need consistency." I'm like, "No, they suck."
Ooh, Nuri's with you on edge rusher on that.
And they did fire the defensive line coach, the pass rush specialist coach.
Hmm.
So he's getting the blame for the fact that they suck at pass rush, I guess. But Goody is under the impression that the guys they have are good or are fine. When asked about a receiver, if Jordan Love could have a guy to count on that is going to catch the freaking ball, when he throws it to him on 3rd and 6, he's going to run a 7-yard route and catch the pass. Goody said, we got the guys. They need to improve. He didn't say, yeah, we're going to make sure we get somebody who's a solid, trustworthy guy. He's saying we need these guys to turn into the solid, trustworthy guy. And then when asked about corner, he said, oh, yeah, we look pretty good when Keyshawn played outside corner. And eventually Valentine kind of solidified us over there. And then Bullard in the nickel. So we could add something. Then he said, though hopefully Ja's gone, but whatever.
I mean, he just named those guys as a starter. So where does that leave Jair to play? Nowhere.
Exactly. And then they asked him about offensive line and depth and such. And he said Josh Myers played his best year.
Which is true.
And he wants him back.
Oh, that's not good, though.
So let's think about all these things. Goody wants the pass rushers to stay the same, but they have to improve. That's hope. That's not something that's actually improving the team. That's just hoping that something's going to happen.
That's hoping
he wants the receivers to stay the same,
yeah,
and he wants them to improve. Well, that's hope. That's not improving the team. That's just hoping that something's going to happen. Mm-hmm. He says that Ja can help the team. Ja can't ever get on the field, and hopefully he's gone and cut or traded or whatever, and then they have to make a move, but they don't. We have no depth at corner. We have no guys on the corner. Then when asked about offensive line, he said that he's not worried about it. He said he likes the guys he's got, and he likes Josh Myers enough to bring him back.
Wow.
What that means is, hopefully, what that means is he's not addressing the depth issues at offensive line. He's not addressing the fact that we don't have a stud pass rusher who can win when we need him to win. Like, we don't have a Reggie White. We don't have a Clay Matthews type guy who, when everything's on the line, this guy can get back there and cause havoc. And then we don't have a receiver. We don't need a superstar. We just need a guy who can catch the damn ball. He runs a 7-yard route and catches the damn ball. We don't even have that. And he won't address that. So as a Packer fan, how can you possibly be positive about the future when Goody answers questions like that? Can you tell me?
I mean, you can't believe, we've said this a long time ago, you can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth. Is it like a smoke screen? Is he trying to prop up some guys so he might be able to get some value for him and doesn't have to just cut him loose like Jair or some other dudes? Or is he even more dumb and like decides to trade Keyshawn and keep Jair? Who knows what this dude's going to do? He doesn't like to part. The only thing we know about Brian Gutekunst that is 100% accurate is that he does not like to admit failure or that he's been wrong in a critical situation, which is why he props up all of his early round picks and why he signs them back every single time and doesn't even let him get to the market, which financially, like we've talked about before, could be a benefit to him, because if you let some of these dudes hit the market, then they come back to you and you want to sign them, fine. They'll see that there's no market for them. You could get them for way cheaper, but the Packers are like offer them big contracts before they even get there. Yeah. It's dumb. Name me. Okay, sorry. I'm sure there are some, but how many of the early round draft picks in the last 10, 15 years, whatever, are guys that are just so valuable you couldn't have let hit the market, that they just couldn't possibly live without them, and oh my gosh, teams are going to just be chomping at the bit to get the guy?
Jordan Love was the only one.
There's not too many that jumped.
And not because he's that good. It's because everybody thinks he was that good. He had 8 good games, and that's why he had to. Well, he still was under contract, though. That's the other part that was so dumb. But he had his hold in, and they had to pay him.
But the Packers. But the point is, there's not many guys like that, right? So and the Packers have wasted. They've wasted all of this money. Let Rashawn Gary go to the open market and see. Okay, for a guy who's played sparingly in the first 4 years and had one kind of good year, teams might have thrown a little bit of money at him, but not too much, and you could have signed him for cheaper.
I don't know. I mean, Zadarius Smith wasn't anything when the Packers signed him to a pretty sizable contract.
Right? It's because Goody
He was their
scouted him and
third.
thought
He was
great.
off the bench. He never started for the Ravens when the Packers signed him in free agency.
I know, because Goody saw something. He thought he was great in the draft and signed him in. But the
other thing is,
so there could be that. That's fine.
He was asked also about Quay Walker and Devontae Wyatt's, picking up their fifth-year options. And he was like, "Oh yeah, those guys are great. They're showing how they had their best years, and they're showing how great they are." And I just, as a fan watching the game, Quay Walker looks lost. And then when you watch Edgerrin Cooper, who's able to diagnose and attack on running plays, and Quay Walker just kind of stands there looking at stuff. Now, I don't know if Quay Walker's job is to stand back and look out for the tight end or something coming out, and maybe maybe everybody else was supposed to attack or whatever. I don't know. And then Devontae Wyatt's hurt all the time. Yeah, he's our best inside pass rusher. That doesn't mean that if he plays as much as Jair plays, it doesn't do as much good.
Right.
So
one thing I'll say for Van Ness is Van Ness was good against the run. I'll give him that.
Well, he didn't get any pressure.
I know he was he was not very good pass rushing, but he was good against the run and good at holding the edge. I will give him that. That, however, is not worth a 13th pick. It's not worth a high second contract. None of that. The guys so going back to the thing I was finalizing, the early picks, not many teams are chomping at the bit to scoop those dudes up. But who are the players the Packers lose? It's the mid-round or late-round guys, or sometimes even undrafted guys that play well, and then teams are like, damn, that's a good player that we can get for, pretty cheap on a second contract. Yeah, those are the guys that you can't afford to lose. There's so much value there in what you're paying them, and you can fill out a team with more guys like that. That's incredible value, and the Packers don't do it. So how do they break this cycle? I don't know. But I mean, it has to, someone in charge. My only hope is that Ed Policy has some sanity and is like cracks down on it and is like, look, these dudes who, we draft high sometimes, we miscalculated, we misjudged. This guy's not that good. Let's be willing to at least see what the market holds. I mean, I'm not saying you got to cast him off right away, but let's just see what happens. And if some team's crazy and offers them a bunch of money, okay, bye-bye, we'll find somebody else. But if they come back to us and they're looking for something reasonable, maybe we'll sign them back. Maybe not. I hope they get to that point. Let's see. Man, everybody thinks we're going to tank with this Ben Johnson and the Lions and the Vikings. Look, the Vikings, come on. Sam Darnold had a magical year. Is J.J. McCarthy going to be great next year? Do you expect it? I don't expect it. If they don't have Aaron Jones, when they didn't have Aaron Jones, they looked very different. So if Aaron Jones isn't there next year and Sam Darnold isn't there having a magical year, what are the Vikings? Probably 8-9 team, 7-10 team, right? Are you worried about? So maybe the Vikings could be the bottom. I don't know. I'm not saying the Bears are going to put it all together.
Well, the Bears might be the bottom.
The
Lions might be the bottom when they lose their offense coordinator and the defense coordinator.
They still have pretty good players though, and they still have high motivation. I think the Lions are going to be fine at least.
If you had Jahmyr Gibbs on your team, would you not give him the ball on every damn play or every play possible? I wouldn't even play the other guy. I don't care. The former Bear guy.
Oh
yeah,
man.
Montgomery. Screw him.
He was the sledgehammer, and Gibbs was the fast.
Gibbs is so damn scary. I would just put him out there on every single play to scare people. I wouldn't even put out we don't even need Montgomery. You could replace Montgomery, who's a veteran running back, with a draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then Gibbs is your starter, and Gibbs is your star, and he is the guy you give the ball to.
That's what happened with Montgomery's injury, right? But
yeah, and then in the playoffs, they brought him back and played him a bunch, and then they weren't as dynamic.
Well,
and they also had Jared Goff turned into a pumpkin again and played like crap, like he usually does. So we all know that happens.
I feel bad.
Why the Packers can't figure out that you have to go after Jared Goff and make him do stupid stuff because he's dumb?
That's what you got to do. That's
how you win.
Yeah, you got to pressure him. Got to pressure him up the middle. It's not that hard to figure out, and because he can't get away from it too easily. So, but the Packers don't figure it out. We'll see if they figure it out next time. Let's see. Before we come back to that, let's give JJL a quick thing he had. Who do you guys want in the Super Bowl? Everybody. And I think it was like 80% or 90% of the country is going for Washington and the Bills, and only a tiny little pocket wants the Chiefs, and a tiny little pocket located in those states want the Eagles. And I'm going to tell you right now, if it's Chiefs and Eagles, I will be I either won't watch or I'll be very casually watching that game. Like I'll probably be doing something else and maybe have the game on.
I won't watch it.
I don't want it. Nobody wants it. NFL, wake up. Rig these games. So
they already rigged them.
The Commanders and the goddamn Bills are in the Super Bowl together. Let's go.
Well, I don't care if the Commanders are in because I just want the Bills to win a Super Bowl.
Well, me too. But
Commanders have won a Super Bowl in their past. They won 3 Super Bowls in their past.
I get it. I don't want
Bill Gibbs was a Super Bowl winning coach 3 times. They've won with 3 different quarterbacks.
I know, but I don't want to see the Eagles in there again with a chance to win it. I'd rather see the Commanders in there just in case.
No, the Eagles can have a chance to win. They're not gonna. The Bills are gonna beat them.
Even with Saquon. Look, are the Eagles too? Here's the thing, the question about it as we talk about what's the teams that are left. The Ravens. Derrick Henry, 16 carries in that game. Remember the Ravens were down. They had a drive where they just ran it almost every freaking play and like ran all over the damn Bills. And then towards the end of the game, what did they decide to do? Throw it. These teams are so dumb. Are the Eagles going to be... The Eagles might be the one team who is not dumb and is just like, we don't care. We're going to run with Saquon. Jalen Hurts, run it. We'll just run it. And if that's the thing the Bills can't defend is the run. So that would be... the Eagles would be a scarier matchup for me because they might be the team that's crazy enough, actually smart enough, and goes against the grain enough to just run the ball like 80% of the time. And if they do that, they'll probably beat the Bills because the Bills can't stop the run.
Maybe.
Bills only won against the Ravens because the Ravens passed too much.
Yeah, but I think both the Eagles and the Commanders are pretty good running teams, and I think they both are pretty scary. I think Jaden Daniels is better than Hurts. So,
well, he's more slippery, but he's not a guy they call as many runs for necessarily. He runs, he'll take off and run a little bit more. But as for the Ravens, it's interesting because they were literally set up. They were set up they could have won everything if they just run the ball. They could beat the Chiefs. They could have beaten the Bills, and they could have beaten anybody in the NFC if they would have just run first and then maybe throw after. But I don't know. Tell me why they did it. Tell me. I don't. It's not on Mark Andrews that they lost the game. It's on their stupid play caller and the team for calling too many pass plays. Dumb. That's where I'm at. And it's weird to me because you have all these run heavy teams, and a lot of them are the ones that are left. Even the Bills have a pretty good running game this year, right? That's why they're still around. Because they finally got some other dudes to run the ball.
Hey, you got your fart gun on you?
It's right over here. I can get it, though.
Go get it.
Okay.
Silence. Just kidding. I don't care. I want the Bills to win. I don't care who's there. Don't matter. Rasul Douglas, win. Matter of fact, the Packers should sign Rasul Douglas back after this year. But if you look at the comments, Jace, we need to do a fart gun salute.
Who is it? TJ Watt.
No,
Lee's here. Rick's here. Holy crap.
It's David.
I got to get caught up. What? David? Holy crap. 66 today. Happy birthday, David. 66 years around the sun. That was just one trigger pull, by the way. Congratulations, David. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Man, JJ thinks Washington's going to beat them all. I don't know about that. Raider Rick's here. I got to get caught up because I was going a little too long there. Let's see. Goody needs to get Mason Crosby back or Garrett and a vet cornerback. That could be Rasul Douglas, but watch the Vikings sign him. Watch the Vikings sign TJ Slayton, Rasul Douglas, bring back Aaron Jones. Ben's an instant Viking fan.
I will become a Vikings fan if they do all those things. Yeah.
Make it for the bus. Rick hangs out. They're going to get Crosby. They're not going to get Crosby. A veteran cornerback would be good. The Packers are rumored to maybe get Stephon Gilmore now, finally, like 3 years after we wanted them to. Lee's around. Hey, Lee. And then Garrett. Yeah, he probably wouldn't fit with the Packers. I don't think they'll take him. As a Vikings fan, JJL says, I want Daniel Jones to start only because he's cheap. JJ can continue to watch. The Vikings always have one-hit wonder quarterbacks. That's true. Cunningham. How was Randall Cunningham so good for that 1 year? Like, I mean, I know he was pretty good other years, but how was he so good that 1 year? Damn. Barf.
He had Randy Moss and
that's true. That helps. Brett Favre was highly motivated by revenge. Case Keenum was a maniac and just trying to do something. And Sam Darnold, well,
you just skipped over Kirk O'Chain's land. You just skipped over all the Kirk O'Chain's years.
Kirk O'Chain's was not a one-hit wonder. Kirk O'Chain's had several good seasons. He wasn't like a 1 year burst for the Vikings and then tanked out. Sam Darnold, I don't know. He just looked so over. Just looked like everything got too fast for him, too big for him, and he fell apart, and it was just bad. And his line wasn't that good anyway. I get it, but he had open dudes. He just panicked and just didn't do what he did the whole season. It's unfortunate, but it is the way it went. But the Vikings did sign back their coach because they realized they have a pretty good coach. Yeah. Smart for them. Let's see. All right. Wow, Rick says congrats to David for being that old and happy birthday. David gets a bunch of happy birthdays. What else does Rick say? I don't think they'll do another cold weather Super Bowl anytime soon, especially outside. Too many celebrities freezing. That's true. But they weren't freezing because they got to be inside Minneapolis. The craziest one, come on, let's be real. The craziest one was when they did it in New York a few years back. That was a major risk. In February in New York or the Meadowlands, New Jersey, that was a major risk that they took. They got lucky as hell with the weather that it wasn't freezing ass cold. Because you're right. Who the hell's going to the Super Bowl? All these people with a crap ton of money who don't want to stand outside and freeze their asses off and be real fans. And they got lucky as hell with that Super Bowl. They'll never do another outdoor Super Bowl again for sure. Yeah, I know you meant Max, not Mason. I get it. But I mentioned something there was a headline that said, I think it was like one of the Packer reporters in is it still the Gazette, the Green Bay Press Gazette? Is it still that? I don't know. I don't know what it's called anymore, the Green Bay paper. But there was somebody in there, and the headline said, Packers looking at Crosby or something like that. And I was like, Sarah. So I went to our sister, and I was like, Sarah, look, the Packers want Mason back. And she's like, what? And I'm like, no, it's not that Crosby. It's Max Crosby. Sorry. Mason's too old. Can only kick the ball 32 yards now. David says, are Packers fans settling for the second best? Honest question. Second best what, David? Second best record, second best defensive tackle, second best quarterback, second best coach, GM. I don't know. I would say they're less than second best in most things. But Super Bowl in New York was awful because it was a blowout. It was a blowout, and they got lucky with it. Oh, now JJL wants Rodgers to the Vikings to complete the Favre story.
I hope so.
Even though he thought he was not like Brett Favre at all, and he's exactly like Brett Favre, except even worse.
I hope he goes to the Vikings.
He didn't try to rip off poor people in Mississippi, but he did ask for your money to help him start his stupid stats website, right?
That's true. He asked for donations to start a stats website, sports stats website. Even though he millions and millions of dollars that he asked for a couple $1 million from his fans when he has hundreds of millions of dollars that he could just pluck a couple $1 million out of his own pocket to do it. But nope.
I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Shows a real person he is.
Go fund me. I'm Aaron Rodgers. Go fund me. How would you feel about that if Rodgers goes to the Vikings? Everybody, anybody that's Packer fan, used to be a Rodgers fan or always hated him, whatever, or used to like him, now hate him, whatever you are. Used to like him and still like him. If there's a couple, I know there's a few people out there like that. I don't quite understand your perspective, but that's cool. How would you feel if he goes to the Vikings? I would think it's great. I would love for him to tear apart the Vikings and destroy their locker room and culture as well. Fantastic. Go do it, Aaron Rodgers. He is the destroyer of locker rooms and culture. So send him to the Vikings. They'll tank it out. The Bears will come up. Vikings will hold at the bottom. Packers will still avoid being in last place. Sounds good. Maybe they'll be in second place next year.
I don't know.
That's where I stand. Let's see some more comments. That's what tonight's show is all about. Comments and us keeping up with you guys. Let's see. What does he say? Rick Dahl, I bet I have to buy a jersey. Oh, okay. Let's see. Oh, he'll probably go to the Steelers. JJ.
Talk about Rodgers.
Oh, Rodgers jersey. Sure. How many Favre jerseys are still out there, and how many Viking fans still wear them to games? That's what I want to know. I do not expect Rodgers to go to the Steelers.
No.
I think Mike Tomlin enjoys like sparring with him back and forth, but I don't think he'd like to coach him.
Actually, you know what though? Mike Tomlin might think he could actually handle him.
Does he think he could rein him in and like?
I think he thinks he could probably handle him. Actually,
maybe
he couldn't, but he thinks he could.
Right? Maybe, yeah.
But no.
All right, Lee brings up this very serious question. How do you fix the O-line? Myers leaves. Obviously, listen to Goody's press conference.
Goody wants him back, Lee.
He wants him back. He said he just had his best. He was laying the groundwork for signing him back. He said he had his best season. And he went through a lot. They'll play the sympathy card. And, you know, he'd like to sign him back. We'd like to have all, of course, he followed it quickly with, we'd like to have all these guys back. So that's the one that I don't always know, like if he's really serious or not. Because when he, you know, that's like the GM line. We'd like to have all these guys back, which you know is a bunch of BS, but they say it to cover their ass.
Yeah, he said he wanted 150 roster spots. That's what he said.
Jenkins at center. How do we feel about Jenkins at center? I don't think he snaps the ball very well. He's kind of iffy on the shot.
I can tell you, I don't want Sean Ryan at center.
Right, he's not a good snapper either. Right.
I'd rather have Creed Humphrey at center. Or Quinn Miners at center, or Landon Dickerson at center. Any one of those three would be great, as opposed to Josh Myers. As far as Walker left tackle, I think Walker's fine at left tackle. The bottom line is the great Goody wasted a first-round pick on Jordan Morgan, and he needs to become something.
That's what he said.
And he needs to become a tackle, and I don't care which one it is. I think he should become. Sure. He should be starting at tackle.
Right tackle and move Zach Tom to center, I guess, if you don't sign Myers back.
Well, I don't think they want him at right tackle. I think they want him at left tackle.
He can't play left tackle.
I don't know. Rasheed Walker is a 7th-round pick, and he's played left tackle.
Rasheed Walker is doing pretty good. Leave him alone.
Why can't a first-round pick do it?
Because the guy's not as good. Rasheed Walker, a 7th-round cast-off pick, is way better than your first-round pick.
Bottom line is this. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. But they're probably going to sign back freaking Myers, and they're not even going to let him hit free agency, and they're going to sign him for way too much, and it's going to be dumb. And you're going to have your Kenny Clark on the offensive line. A guy who's taking up a crap ton of salary cap space, and he's completely useless. And he actually helps the opposing team win as opposed to helping us win. He's helping us lose.
Which is where you have to have realistic. That's why I laugh about it now. I used to get upset. I used to be a true believer and think they're going to win all the time. And then after enough times, I was like, no, I can't live that way anymore. I'm just being naive. And now I'm at the point where you got to laugh at when they make decisions like this. You got to laugh about it. You have to, as a Packer fan, enjoy the fact that they're even competitive with some of the financial decisions they make. Like some of the guys they put money into, it's ridiculous. Highly overpaid. Nobody else wanted these dudes, and the Packers keep them and try to convince you they're awesome, and then they start them, and it's amazing that the Packers can win 11 games, that they can be competitive in the division, all that sort of stuff. But it's guys like Evan Williams they get lucky with, and he even said, Jeff Halfley's play style is the way he likes to play: fast, physical, and free. Hey, that's what we've been wanting for a long time, and we need more players on defense that'll play like that. You mentioned it earlier. Quay Walker looks like he's thinking too much or just gets frozen or whatever, but then Cooper just attacks. So give me more dudes who want to play fast, physical, and free, and let them go. Let them go. Let them play.
Well, I think that the bottom line is this, Lee. The offensive line definitely needs more. One way, even if they sign back Myers, they need some sort of
Lee can
depth
see it.
that can play. And at this point, because Morgan, we don't know what he is, and it proved that Glover and Kadeem Telford couldn't do jack squat in there. Now they were tackles playing guard, but still, we got to start. Like I like somebody, I think it was Rick, who said draft a big butted guy and have him smack some guys at guard. Like I'd like to see a big tough guard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have them. They've been out there.
And keep Sean Ryan at guard. And then
the Packers want too many these guys that are versatile. Versatility is the key for them and all that.
I know that's what Rudy said in his press conference.
Yeah.
But maybe Elton Jenkins to center, and you draft another 320-pound tough guy to play guard, and you keep Zach Tom where he is, and you have a fight at left tackle between Walker and Morgan, and that's your offensive line. And that's what I would do. I would let Myers walk, and you draft the guy who's tough in the middle. And if he doesn't work out, then your backup plan is Morgan at left guard. Keep Sean Ryan at right guard. He's doing great.
You're joking? Good. I hope so. Because I was like, if you think Josh Myers gets paid even in the same stratosphere as like Quinn Miners, I'm gonna blow a gasket. I'll just blow a gasket. Jesus.
Don't
Booty has I know he loves Myers. He loves overpaying. Ryan is a good run blocker and a decent. I don't know if he could be a decent. He actually was fine, except for his shotgun snaps were bad. Maybe he can get.
Yeah, well, that's all they run is out of shotgun. We talked about it already. So
maybe with more practice, he could get better. But he did not have, the Quinn Miners garbage can target like in his yard. Like that's how he trained to be center, to do snaps for center after he had to get ready for the draft. I think like something that's interesting to me with the Packers and the offensive line in particular is I don't know. I guess I don't understand with as many yards after contact as Josh Jacobs had and as many tackles as he had to break and all this stuff, and they said it all the time, how then they were still broadcasters and pundits and everybody is like, they got a great offensive line. The Packers have a great offense. Like, how? What is your measure of a great offensive line? I don't.
Well, the numbers show that Jordan Love only got sacked 14 times all year. So
that was mostly because of him.
I know, but the numbers don't show that. The numbers show what these guys are looking at. The numbers show that Josh Jacobs and the Packers offense ran for, they were one of the top running teams in the league. So when you're the top running team in the league, your quarterback never gets sacked. That's going to look really good for your offensive line. They don't actually watch the games to see what's going on. They just go on there and blab, blab, blab about what the stats say. Which is why all the freaking, the stats guys and the, whatever those, when they make their decisions based on, like whether to go for it or not based on the, whatever the percentage tells them to do. It never is right. Because you have to do what the game tells you. What does this player do against that player? What does this offensive line do against that defensive line? And those are things that aren't found in the stats, that aren't found in the numbers. And that's the difference between being a good coach and being one that just, does what the numbers say. That's why you saw the Chargers defense, who was under Staley over the last bunch of years, suck ass. And then they go to Jim Harbaugh, who just does whatever his gut says, and their actually defense is awesome. And he's not even coaching the defense, but he's just telling what to do. And then on offense, they don't go for it all the time. They're smart. They run the ball. They should unleash Justin Herbert a little more, but
They
I
don't
don't
have
know.
any pass catchers though.
Yeah. Well, no, they
receivers
have nothing. They
terrible.
had nothing. He had nothing to throw to at all. He had one
Except
short,
one little
one
white
short
dude.
white guy. But that's the type of thing I'm talking about. Is like these teams and these reporters. All they do is look at the numbers, and that's why they say what they say. They really don't know anything.
All right. I like your thinking here. JJ says, no, I think Myers is gone, but I think you guys are a little too much on the way of common sense and not the Goody way, which is I drafted this guy high. He's still got to be great. I can't admit defeat. I'm Brian Gutekunst. Somebody asked if we're going to get a first round receiver. That's absolutely a no. Rick points it out. I'm not going to do wideouts for sure. They might make a move to get like a DK Metcalf or somebody like that, potentially if it works out. The one thing the Packers have shown is they don't want to overspend in those situations. So I don't know if Metcalf's price is too high, but he's got to be not very excited about the way things were going in Seattle this year because Smith and Jigba became like a targeted go-to guy. And he was like not even getting hardly targets most of the time. So how would you, Ben? You've talked about it. I wanted to ask you because I saw those rumors flying around. You have talked about in recent weeks, you're drinking the Kool-Aid of needing a go-to dominant guy that you can go to if, in situations rather than having like this kind of overall receiving core
That's
where you
not
don't know
what
where
I
the ball's
said.
gonna... Okay, well, what did you say then? If I'm wrong, tell me what you said.
I didn't say a dominant guy you can go. I don't know. I'm
You
saying
said
a
we
guy
needed
who
like
can run a 7-yard route and catch the fucking ball is what I said. Listen,
That's what you
I
said
said
this
earlier
week.
today.
Couple weeks ago, though, you were like
I didn't say a
talking about
dominant
we
guy
need
then
this
either.
number one receiver, the number one receiver.
We don't need a
something
number
like
one receiver.
Okay,
we need a
all
guy
right.
who can catch the fucking ball and run the fucking route.
Okay, well that's Romeo, but now he might is.
Well, he's got his head knocked off. He can't do it.
All right.
But you also need a quarterback who can throw the pass to the guy.
Right.
We don't have that either. So it doesn't matter. Now you're going to get mad. I was fine. And then you had to do that. Accuse me of saying that. Oh, you said we need a dominant. We don't need a dominant receiver. We need a competent receiver.
Okay. Is that Devontae Adams coming back?
No. Why would you do that? That'd be like if you dated a girl and she cheated on you, and then you guys broke up, and then after like, a year of having all of her fun with the guy she cheated on you with, then she comes back and wants to be back with you. No, you don't take that sloppy crap back.
No, she's a little slower and a little droopier and a little older.
No.
Okay.
You don't want that.
But still think she's really something?
No, you don't. You should not think that. You should think, no, bye, goodbye, never again.
Maybe Devontae Adams is like, look, I made all my money. We're good. I'll come back for something cheap. Would you take him?
Only if he understands that he's not going to get 15 targets a game.
What? But he has to impact the game. How else can a guy like him impact the game unless he's getting the targets?
No, he's not going to get the targets.
All right. Dang it.
Yes, the Packers are number one in drops. I know. They're also number one in crappy ass throws by their quarterback, who's supposed to be a $55 million quarterback who doesn't throw like crap. I don't know what to tell you. I think we need Dontavian Wicks to become Dontavian Wicks. We need him to become the guy we expect him to become this year. That's the goal for me as a Packer fan. I think that's our only hope. Because Dobbs is obviously a head case who now also gets his head knocked off. Christian Watson hurt all the damn time. Can't count on him.
That's fair.
Matter of fact, I think Goody needs to draft a speedster in the late rounds to take the top off the defense. Because I love Bo Melton, but he's just too damn small. He's fast, but he's small, and it doesn't scare anybody. We need a 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" fast guy.
It would scare people if you had an accurate quarterback, but you don't, so it doesn't scare people. I want to examine this, Ben. What's 29 divided by 2? Or what's 29 divided by 17?
You can't divide 29 by anything. It's a It's a prime number.
Oh, fucking God damn it. Make me do math. Fuck you. I already had a beer for the show. I'm on my second beer.
It's
I'm gonna
less
do
than
this.
one. It's less than two. I can tell you that.
29 divided by 17 is 1.7. So, okay, I understand. And look, if anyone's watched the show, known me in the past, and know I was the hands guy when I played football, I caught everything except for one pass. I hate drops. I hate drop passes almost as much as anything in the game of football. However, less than 2 drops a game does not dramatically impact your football game. 1.7 drops per game is not an alarming number. Contrast that with the number of off-target throws per game. How many off-target throws do we have per game versus number of drops?
Well, just in the last game, we had at least 5.
Right. So it's much more. So I get the number 1 in drops. It sounds really bad, but look at all the teams in drops. I bet they're all kind of like, the majority of them are probably between 20 and that 29 number. So the difference there is very marginal. So let's not over accentuate the importance of the drop passes by the Packers. There were a lot of other things that were messed up, which were not utilizing players in the right way, calling plays for the wrong players, doing dumb things at times when you should kick the ball and instead you go for it. Matt LaFleur. And then the other big thing is off-target throws. And Ben's shown plenty of video of it. And then also Jordan Love not throwing the ball. Like when guys were open and in time of the play, we've seen video time and time again over the last several games, probably throughout the whole season, where guys were open. We don't know what he's looking at. Clearly, we don't know the reads on the play, but there are dudes open and he's just not throwing it. And that was in the second half of the year. And again, most likely what that was, okay, I've got 11 interceptions. Everybody's talking about my interceptions, blah, 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 blah. Matt LaFleur is talking about them publicly. I'm not going to throw it over the middle here and chance that. Well, if you're going to become Aaron Rodgers and not throw over the middle, you're not going to excel in today's NFL. You've got to throw the ball over the middle. Receivers have to make tough catches. They got to expect the hits. They got to hold on to the ball. Like, that's part of being successful in today's NFL. And the teams that don't do that end up getting stalled out. Aaron Rodgers always stalled out against the good teams because he wouldn't throw the ball over the middle. Russell Wilson was in the same boat for quite a while.
Russell Wilson can't see the ball, anybody in the middle.
Give him the short. Anyway, the point is, if Jordan Love's going to be gun shy over the middle, that speaks more to his not confidence, him not being confident in his accuracy, being able to put the ball where he wants, than anything else. And that is a problem. So what Matt LaFleur and the quarterback coach, whoever the next one's going to be, has to examine and has to correct is, why is Jordan Love being so inaccurate? Is it his footwork? Is he not stepping into throws? I would say yes on both of those are affecting his throws. Is there something else going on? Fine, but tune up those mechanics, dude. Tune them up, because you got to be precise. You have to be precise, especially against two shell. You got to make precise, timely throws, work the ball down the field. Don't make mistakes. That's how you can win. And you're going to find those teams when you get to the playoffs. So if we want to have, win some games and have fun during the season and then flame out in the playoffs right away, then I guess we keep doing it this way. If we're going to get to the Super Bowl ever again, we got to tune it up. We got to be sharp. We got to throw the ball where we want. We got to be on time. We got to be able to work against those two shells, take what the defense gives you, and go march down the field, 10, 12, 14 play drives, and punch it in. That's what the Packers are going to have to be able to do if they want to ever get back to the Super Bowl. I don't know if it's going to happen in my lifetime, but I sure freaking hope so, because last Super Bowl I didn't watch with this dingle mort over here, and now because I was like, oh, they'll be back again soon. Well, it's been 14 years. and then not been back. And now we're old and fat. And I want to watch Super Bowl with my brother again. So get back there. So tune up the passing game. JJ says his footwork is terrible. It is. Why? And how did it get that way with Tom on the case? How did he let the footwork get that way, Ben? Answer it. What did he do? Did Love take too many tips and pointers from Aaron Rodgers? Like, what the hell happened?
I don't know. Maybe Tom Clemens ain't as good of the coach as everybody says he is.
What? Blasphemous. Well, let's get some. Is Darrell Bevell anywhere? Get him in here. Maybe he could be a quarterback coach. No? Not good? Who's a former quarterback that was good at his mechanics, but not really that good as a player? Who is it?
Dan Orlovsky wants to be the Packers quarterback coach. I say
okay.
No. I say
no, you don't want. Too nice?
No, he's not nice.
He's not.
He's a ding dong.
I think he's pretty nice, though.
We should get Matt Hasselbeck should be the quarterback coach.
Ooh, that would be that would be something. I like it. Hasselbeck, come back to the pack as a coach,
and then just put on the Love jersey and go out there and play for him, and then people won't.
That's right. He could be coach, bench player.
Yeah.
Right. Like player coach, like back in the day with Mike Dunleavy Jr. or not Mike Dunleavy Jr. Mike Dunleavy Sr. was player coach back in the day for the Bucks. That was something. Okay. Did Robert Saleh confirm that he's taking the 49ers defensive coordinator job? Was that finalized? Anybody?
I don't know.
Because I know he was saying he probably came to the Packers hoping, and LaFleur was like, look, I think people are going to try to swipe Hafley from us here after this year, and then you can just slide into DC, man. Like, just hang around and we'll go there. And now that's not worked out. So
I don't think Matt LaFleur would ever hire his friend.
What?
As a defensive coordinator.
Why not?
Because he couldn't. Because eventually he'll have to fire him to blame him as a scapegoat later in his career, like he did with all the other defensive coordinators and special teams coordinators.
Ooh.
So I don't think Matt LaFleur would ever want that job. Or Matt LaFleur. What's his face? Robert Saleh. I will say this. JJ McQuaid is saying he's losing faith in Matt LaFleur.
One more season.
And my question is this, everybody. Who would you have more faith in to lead this team next season? Matt LaFleur or Jeff Hafley? I, for one, have been very impressed with Jeff Hafley. The defense looked good. And they had no stars making any plays. So it wasn't like he had guys making plays for him. The offense looked like it was stale. The play calling Matt LaFleur, the stuff that was going on the field, the plays that they were running, there were no Matt LaFleur specials anymore. Like, it's almost like he was like, I don't know. It's weird. He turned into the Aaron Rodgers offense all of a sudden again. And it didn't work because we don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore. This guy, Love, can't throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers. But Jeff Hafley took a defense with 3 rookies that had to start when they were out there, played great.
6th-round pick.
Put Keyshawn on the outside, who never played there before.
Undrafted guy.
You're talking your whole pass rush it was non-existent. They played Kenny Clark way too much. They had to blitz and disguise and do all kinds of crazy stuff just to get pressure on the quarterback at times. But also his press conferences just seems like an awesome guy who actually who knows what he's talking about. That's the other thing that's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When he speaks about plays and things, he doesn't want to give everything away, but when he does talk, it makes a lot of sense. It sounds like a guy who understands what's going on. And it was like a drastic change from Joe Barry, who was like, "Ooh, if I knew, well, then we'd stop. We wouldn't be looking so bad."
Joe Barry.
And Matt LaFleur is kind of sounding like Joe Barry more and more. Like, "Oh, if I knew why we were not doing so good, then we wouldn't be looking so bad." I'm like, well, if you don't know, well, then why are you the coach? Like your job as the coach is to figure out why things aren't working and do the things that work. And that's all I
JJ
can say.
thinks so JJ's thinking only one more year, which again, I'm gonna say all the comparisons, all the record, Matt LaFleur, second winningest coach in his first however many seasons in the history of the NFL, only behind Vince Lombardi. Like Matt LaFleur, like, come on. I mean, I don't know. Now, you can talk about not as much success in the playoffs as you'd want, which I get it. And then that begs the question. So we talked about this for a number of times, and we talked about this before. Most coaches understand if they win games, win enough games to be competitive and blah, 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 that you're going to hang on to your job in a lot of places, right? You'll hold your job. If you can win games, you hold your job, regardless of what happens in the playoffs. But are the Green Bay fans finally no longer buying every year that they're going to win the Super Bowl? Do they finally believe that's not the case every year, that they're a Super Bowl contender? And wondering, when are we actually going to be a Super Bowl contender again? This is not enough for me. Winning 10, 11, 12, 13 games of the regular season and losing in the playoffs early in the first game or two is not what we want to be. We're tired of it. When does that happen? I don't know. Are you guys sick of it? Are you guys sick of losing the playoffs for 14 years? The last 14 years? I mean, a couple times we didn't make the playoffs, so we made the playoffs most of those years and lost.
Well, the other thing that's really interesting to me is, like, whenever you hear people talk about coaches and like either creative mind coaches in offense, they always mention Shanahan and McVay and O'Connell and Ben Johnson, but they don't mention Matt LaFleur. When they mention coaches who are able to, change the function of a team and the dynamic of what's going on around the team, it's Dan Campbell and, O'Connell again and Shanahan and McVay and, the guy from Houston. I can't remember his name.
D'Amico
Ryans, right.
And his team's terrible. Like, how do they win a game?
Ugh. Well, it's the quarterback. Their offense is bad. They got no offensive line.
All right.
But his coaching is good.
Yeah. But they won a game.
And Mike Vrabel now. Mike Vrabel back with the Patriots. And, oh, boy, Mike Vrabel. But never Matt LaFleur. Yet he keeps winning games. He's always the forgotten guy. And as Packer fans, I always hoped that they won those games when Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback in spite of Aaron Rodgers. The fact that Matt LaFleur couldn't quite be the coach he wanted to be, which is the truth. And if he just could be the coach he wanted to be, then the Packers would take off, because I thought he was pretty smart and I thought he knew what he was doing. But now after the last two seasons, after the first half of last year went, and then pretty much most of this year, yeah, we got 11 wins somehow, but two of them were Malik Willis's wins,
right? Where
Matt LaFleur did bring out the Matt LaFleur specials and change the offense, but they were also against two really bad teams. So, we should have won those. But it's odd to me because I thought Matt LaFleur would take off, and I thought that the offense would be more dynamic and exciting. And I think it was last year. I mean, we didn't have as many reverses and crazy plays, and he ran them in the wrong times. Like one time we ran at fourth down against the Bears. That was really genius. But it's just, I don't know. It seems like Aaron Rodgers was almost a comfort or like a shield for him, because maybe Rodgers did actually change plays that were dumb and got into some plays that worked, even though he also screwed stuff up. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because he could beat the bad teams and couldn't beat the good teams because, Rodgers would just throw to Devontae all the time.
He wouldn't use Aaron Jones enough. Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, that too. But so I don't know. It's an odd thing to me because I don't know if it's Jordan Love that's the problem. Why Matt LaFleur his offense doesn't look good all the time. And people are like, well, you scored 30 points a game there for a while. And we did. Like the Packers were scoring 30 points every game for like 5-6 games in a row. And we're like, but it never felt cohesive. Like the offense never felt like it was running smoothly. A lot of times it was just Jordan Love threw up some crazy prayer. And then, Christian Watson jumped up and grabbed it one time. And then they got it in the red zone because of like a 40-yard bomb that he just jumped up and grabbed. That wasn't a great pass. And the offense sure wasn't moving well. Or the defense would get a turnover or whatever, and then that set them up for good field position. And then when they get in the red zone, they couldn't score. They would have to settle for field goals. And thank God McManus was signed, or else we would have had a bunch of missed field goals again. But it's just, I don't know. There's something off with LaFleur now. And like I said, when Rodgers was there, I thought that Rodgers was holding him back. And now I don't know if it's Jordan Love can't do what he wants him to do, so he has to call the plays differently, or what. But he showed us in the 2 Malik Willis games that he's able to come up with a game plan that can at least move the ball and score points and help your team win when you're in a disadvantage of some sort, right? So if Jordan Love does have some disadvantages, I think LaFleur just needs to learn what those are and then figure it out. Like I don't want to completely crap on LaFleur, but I think he's got some issues, and I think he needs to really sit down, and I think he's not the best at figuring out what his players are best at. Let's put it that way. I think that's what Jeff Hafley was able to do this year. He solidified his team by finding out, okay, Evan Williams is really good at free safety. We're going to keep his ass back there. Javon Bullard stinks at it. He's going to play around the line of scrimmage, but he's good around the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. Edgerrin Cooper is really good at reading stuff in front of him. We're going to let him be free, and he can attack on plays if he wants. And then we'll keep McDuffie and the other guys back a little bit. So he's able to see guys and see what their talents are and put them in places to actually succeed most of the time. Where LaFleur has problems with that. And I don't know why. Like, even as fans, we could tell. We could tell that, Luke Musgrave should not be getting tight end screens. I know he didn't play much this year, but we're talking about the year before, too. Christian Watson, why is he getting the 2-yard screen pass? No, he should be running deep routes or crossing routes, deep crossers, because he uses speed to break away from guys. Jaden Reed is your quick guy. Dontavian Wicks should be a quick guy. Get him in the flat. Get him in the comeback route and that sort of thing. And then the defense has figured everything out, and they put a blanket over the top and shut him down. So I don't know. I'm a little concerned. I'm hoping he can figure it out. He has proved he can do it sometimes, but I think more often than not, it's not looked good because he comes up with the plan, and if the plan works, it's great. And if for some reason the plan doesn't work right away, he doesn't know what to do after that. He's like, crap, I got no other plan. Our plan is screwed. We're done. And that's kind of the way it was his first year with the Packers when, they won every game that they won by a lot, the 13 wins, and then the 13 losses, they got just hammered because the plan didn't work and they didn't know what to do. And I think that's kind of crept back in since Rodgers has left with the last 2 years with Love, where if the plan doesn't work, he doesn't know what to do. So it's a little scary.
Well, I'm going to want to go to 2 things. One thing I found really interesting, I watched, and I know the Bucs lost in the playoffs, the Buccaneers and stuff, but I watched like Baker Mayfield's interview before the playoff game. And he was talking about what was different or what was so great about this year's team and the offense really kind of taking off and all that. And he spoke exactly to what you said before, which ultimately is what coaching is, was he said that, this coaching staff, this offensive coaching staff really understands the strengths of the players we have and adjusts to give us opportunities to be as successful as we can. Really plays to our strengths of the players. And to me, that's coaching. Like you can have your plan, you can have the stuff you like to do, but you got these other human beings who got to do it. So if they're not capable of doing what you want them to do, you have to adjust and do things that they can do well. Like that's success in life. That's coaching. That's all of it. But the peculiar thing about this last season that was exposed was how well Matt LaFleur adjusted to Malik Willis. And it made me wonder, so when Jordan Love was back in, does he feel pressure to make Jordan Love look like this downfield thrower with big stats and big plays and all this sort of stuff? Or, I mean, I guess I just don't understand how he could tailor things so well to Malik Willis, but not figure out how to play to Jordan Love's strengths. And the only thing that makes me speculate about it is like, is there pressure from Goody to make him look like this? Or is it pressure from just in general, the organization to say, look, we paid Jordan all this money, like make him look good or make him put up these big stats? I don't know, but it's weird to me when I think about that. Just this last season between Willis and Love and how LaFleur adjusted his game plan so well for Willis.
Well, the other thing is the way that he will not in any way criticize Jordan Love.
The shield is always up. Yeah.
Like, I mean, our last show that we did where we went over all the things he blamed everybody else for. And then we showed the video and it was like, no, Jordan Love sucked. Like, figure it out. But so I don't know what's going on there. He's doing something weird because eventually, if you keep just holding this one guy to a standard where you're babying him, and you keep calling out all these other guys, you're going to lose your guys. And not only they're going to be mad at you, they're going to be mad at the baby quarterback that's going to have to lead your team, who's not a good leader, by the way. And those are all things that LaFleur's got to figure it out. You can't blame a undrafted guy in a 6th round pick for running the wrong routes or whatever, not catching the ball or whatever the crap, when they did run the right route and they did give the quarterback plenty of room to throw the ball right, but he threw a shitty pass.
Yeah.
And the other play, it didn't matter what route Malik Heath ran because Jordan Love threw a no-look pass to Tucker Kraft, who tripped and wasn't where he was supposed to be. And if Love would have looked over there, he would have saw that Tucker Kraft tripped, but he didn't even look over there.
Yeah.
Now, I understand, Matthew Stafford does that all the time. He looks guys off, and then he throws to where the guy's supposed to be, and the guy's there, and then he catches it. Aaron Rodgers did that once in a while.
Well, Matthew Stafford has played a crap ton of years in this league and has a lot behind him, too. And he's won a Super Bowl and all this sort of good stuff.
He had that crazy pass in the Super Bowl. That was a pass.
You ain't Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love. But sorry.
That's the thing that bothers me, is when it's obvious it's Love's bad throw, Love's no-look pass to a guy who fell down and threw it right to the freaking defender. Had nothing to do with Malik Heath's route. Yet he blamed Malik Heath's route. He blamed Dontavian Wick's route. On the last interception, he said it was a heave that he had to throw or whatever at the end of the game when it wasn't clearly, when there was a guy wide open at freaking 20 yards downfield he could have threw to, instead of throwing a 40-yard bomb to a triple-covered freaking Bo Melton, who's 6 feet tall and not even 5'10".
Well, there's still almost 2 minutes left in the game. Like, you have time. If you score there, you can try the onside. I know the onside kick are not that successful, but you still have a chance. You don't have to chuck it up in the end zone with 2 minutes left. That's dumb.
I just think something's going on, like with the whole Love, LaFleur, Goody dynamic here, where,
I mean, some people are gonna put the excuses for the injuries and all this sort of stuff and whatever. And I get that can affect how you play and whatever. But guess what? If you're so affected by your injuries, then sit your ass down and don't play. Like, I'm sorry, that's what should have happened.
Well, that's the thing, is Jair didn't play because he wasn't 100%.
Yeah,
but Zach Tom had a torn pec in the preseason and he played.
Bunch of dudes.
He played all year and he had a torn pec, and it affected his pass protection, and sometimes he got beat. And he didn't look great against the Eagles, who are, let me guess, the best defensive line in football. But did anybody make excuses for Zach Tom? No, they just said he had a crappy game and sucked. But he was out there playing. And as Josh Myers, as much as he stinks, he had injuries too that he played through.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole offensive line had injuries that they played through. And they played over all 5 of those guys played over 1,000 snaps this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't tell me playing offensive line, you weren't banged up and beat up and injured throughout the year and still played. And when they played bad and they had a bad game or they had a bad play, nobody was freaking giving them the benefit of the doubt. And guess what? They're not making $55 million a year. So I don't give a shit. Brett Favre played with a broken thumb. Now, he shouldn't have because he sucked. But he did.
Yep.
And the difference in dynamic play between what we're seeing from Jordan Love and what you're seeing from other quarterbacks is night and day.
Sure, guys that are getting paid in the same neighborhood, right?
Right. I mean, there's different types of quarterbacks, right? Like Joe Burrow is the in the pocket, slippery guy with crazy accuracy and that sort of thing, right? And you got like, Mahomes is the run around, do crazy stuff and get the guy past it, right? Josh Allen is the plow through you and crazy arm and still run through you all the time and do crazy stuff. And, Lamar Jackson is he just looks like you can't touch him. He's like in the Matrix all the time. And there's all different types of guys, right? Justin Herbert is a big, tall guy, stands in the pocket, lets it rip when he can. But Jordan Love doesn't have any of those qualities. He's not slippery in the pocket. He's not very athletic. He sure can't. He's not running as fast. He doesn't sit in the pocket and let it rip. When he feels there's pressure, he backs up and backs up and backs up. Doesn't get sacked, but he throws it away, or he throws a dumb ball like the one against the Vikings where he got it or intercepted and returned for a touchdown for 2 yards, or threw an interception in the end zone, whatever that was. And so I don't know. I think the evaluation was way too fast. They did it off of 8 games of play. And when you go back and watch the touchdowns from 2023, a lot of his touchdowns were Matt LaFleur specials. They were not, or they were, like I remember a lot of people talked about, there was one against the Lions where Christian Watson ran some kind of route like this, and he threw it to Jaden Reed, and they kind of ran into each other, and there was defenders all over the place, and he just like whipped it in there. Yeah. That was luck. Yeah. That was, and everybody's like, what a crazy pass. Oh man, you thread the needle. I'm like, no, that was lucky as shit.
Yeah.
But then he also had plays like in the playoff game against Dallas last year where he told Tucker Kraft to come in and help block. He set up the freaking guy, and he threw an awesome pass to the back of the end zone to Dontavian Wicks for a touchdown on a 25-yard bomb, and it was great, and it was beautiful. Yeah. So we've seen him do the good things. But something happened this year where he wasn't able to do any of those things. And if it was the injuries, then he should have sat out longer.
Yeah. Especially when they were winning. They won games without him. Like, just give him some time to rest up if that's the reasoning behind the difference in play. But I hope that's what it was, but I don't know that it was. Look, I want to go back to this real quick because it is still perplexing to me. Todd brings it up. Hafley and Willis. And you've said this before too. This goes back to Jordan Love was not a second-year player, right? He was a second-year starter.
But that's the way they keep talking. Even in the questions from reporters, they're like, Jordan going into his 3rd year. And I'm like, what do you mean going into his 3rd year? He's going into his 6th year.
Yeah. The dude, I mean, what did he do the first 3 years? Like, learn nothing? Like, there's zero expectations on what he picked up that time frame? No. Like, he was given an opportunity to have no pressure to learn the offense with zero pressure to perform, right? And that most guys don't get. And then on top of that, all of the things that, all the conversations with him and LaFleur, you wiped out the Devontae Adams problem with, having to force feed him. He's gone. Okay, it's wide open, right? There's no restrictions on you on how you run this offense. It's know the offense, understand the offense, command it, and distribute the ball. And he had 3 years to perfect that stuff, which most guys don't even get. Most guys are thrown right into the fire right away or in their first year. And if they stink for a couple of years, they're out. They're cast aside.
Plus, Rodgers was never there in the offseason, so he ran the offseason.
Right. He got plenty
of
of
years.
Right.
Like the first year, obviously, he didn't because it was the COVID year, but
lots of practice time with these guys. We know Rodgers didn't practice a whole bunch for those years either. So he had a lot of practice time. So you can't come to me with the arguments or the expectations of your expectations should be higher for Jordan Love than they should be for, these other dudes who just came into the league, for Drake May and Bo Nix. And I mean, Jaden Daniels is like a maniac, like and even Caleb Williams, for crying out loud. Like, what does Caleb Williams look like by year 3, 4? If he looks way better than Jordan Love does, then that's a problem. Like, then your investment of paying him top of the league money was the wrong decision. And the guy, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of ways to build your team, but the Packers do not have a dominant defense. They don't have a dominant running game or offensive line. So they are reliant on quarterback play to be successful. And if the quarterback's not precise enough or good enough or confident enough or all of the above, then you're going to have problems.
I think the other thing that a lot of Packer fans should think about is we have a lot of money that is kind of freed up right now.
Beer tastes good in downtown Chipwood tonight. Where are you at, JJ?
Because
you watching us at a bar? Is he watching us at a bar or something?
I don't know, probably. But we have a lot of guys going into their 4th season who are going to have to, that are key contributors. And so I don't know if they're going to be back. Like this year, all we've got is TJ Slayton is the only guy we really need to sign back, I think.
What about McDuffie?
I mean, we don't need him back.
We don't need him?
Nah. But even if we do sign him back, we can sign him back for like nothing. So I'm not worried about that.
You're a Hopper guy? You think Hopper's good enough?
No, I don't. But
okay.
Anyways, what I'm saying is we have like Watson, Dobbs, the whole offensive line, Sean Ryan, Zach Tom, Walker, all 3 of those guys. You're talking, those are key guys on the team that are all going to have their contracts up after next year because they're not first round. They're not the first round pick that year.
Mm-hmm.
And what are we going to do? Like, we can't sign them all back. And so that's what, like, I think next year is like a key year for the Packers. I think they need to make a run next year.
Yeah. This has to be the season to get it done. If they're going to, they should examine their team, and maybe we'll look closer at this too and try to see like kind of how things shape up and see, okay, who are free agents or moves they should try to make, because this coming year is the year to try to go for it. Because like you said, after this year, Zach Tom's going to be expensive. After this year, a number of these guys are probably not going to be on the team. Is Sean Ryan worth a second contract? Maybe, if it's not that high, but you're not going to throw a bunch of money at the dude, and then you're starting over there at guard. A bunch of these defensive guys, like, I don't know, are they good enough to keep around? Are you going to exercise the 5th-year option for Quay Walker? Probably not.
It's going to be interesting. If they don't, that's 2 more guys that are going to be up after that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But the 5th-year option is a lot. It's a high amount of money, Is he worth that?
I don't know, but I think they might do it just to make sure that they have guys on their team the following year.
I don't know. It's a smart idea, but
they just, like, a lot of people talk about that draft and how many good players we got from it, and that is great.
Damn, he's at Rookies and he's watching us. God damn, JJ, you're a true fan. Love it.
Yeah, dedicated listener, he says.
Love it.
But I would say that's based on those things. I'm a little, like, this is the year we got to do it. And they have some salary cap space. A lot of people are talking about him getting a corner or whatever. And I don't, unless it's Rasul Douglas, I don't really want him, which they won't sign back Rasul. And if they do, they'll give a different number, which will piss me off because I got a 29 Rasul Douglas jersey, and that'll make me sad. I'll have to burn it.
Who's 29 on the Vikings right now?
I don't know.
Oh, Chris just showed up. Chris, 518. Finally, some realistic Packer talk. Chris, where you been? That's all we do is realistic Packer talk.
That is all we do.
But our guy JJ is in Chippewa at Rookies, but somehow dialing in while he's listening to Led Zeppelin at the bar, dialing into our show at Rookies. JJ, that gets a Farkon salute. Rick wants it. We give it to him. Well done, JJ. We appreciate it. It's just proof. You can watch or listen to Hafen Bros anywhere you are in the world through the magic of YouTube and the internet. You're welcome, world. Thank you to us. All right. I don't know. The Packers have a lot of work to do, but there's still some hope. But next year I thought about that, right? Because that would also follow the trend of Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre in his third year won a Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers in his third year as a starter won a Super Bowl. Jordan Love in his third year as a starter winning a Super Bowl. So if you believe in magic, or you believe in the juju, or you believe in the stars aligning, or the Lord above, or whatever, and that he's a Packer fan, like they always told us in church that God was a Packer fan. In Wisconsin, anyway, they told us that. Didn't they tell us that? Anyway.
I don't remember.
Anyway, if you believe in that stuff, next year is the year. So the Packers better figure out what the hell they need, what holes they need to plug, do it in the draft some starters, get some free agents, get some corners, and go for it next year. Matt LaFleur, coach your ass off. This team, get it done next year. That's it. You're in Anaheim. Damn, Anaheim and a Bears fan. Okay, before we go, Chris, how do you feel about your new coach, Ben Johnson? Are you excited? Are you thinking the Bears will still suck? Where are you at on your new coach? Does he have you enthused? We'll give you a second to answer that since you're commenting.
The Bears will probably still suck, unfortunately for him, but you never know.
I mean, they got some stuff to work on, right? Before they can probably get there where they're good. But a lot of pieces are there. How do you feel about DJ Moore? Is he a guy that you would want on your team? I mean, I know he's really skilled, but he seems kind of like a dick.
I think that was an Eberflus problem with him at the end of the year, where he was just kind of leaving. And also the offense was just bad, and I think they didn't know what the hell they were doing. Ooh. So that play where he kind of just walks off the field, there's a play where I can't remember what it was, but Caleb Williams gets out of the pocket and he's like scrambling. And DJ Moore, instead of trying to run around and get open, he just kind of walks off the field because he thought he got sacked, but he didn't. And he just kept gradually walks off. Well, man,
Dad finally showed up. So you're cautiously optimistic, Chris. Okay, we'll see how it goes. Dad's finally awake. He fell
right
asleep.
when we're gonna hang up and I go home. We're
fell
gonna
asleep.
Now we gotta stay on for another 10 minutes.
I'm gonna FaceTime Dad. I'm gonna FaceTime you after the
good.
show. Check in with you after the show.
So I gotta take a nap.
No, go for it. And I think the Bears have some nice pieces though, right? Like they got some good dudes on their team. Don't they have TJ Edwards? He's a good dude, right? Former Badger.
I don't know.
They got some other guys that are pretty good. I like Jalen Johnson. I like their defense overall. It's pretty good. I just think and Caleb Williams has some talent, but that line, they got to shore it up. I will say, and they have to reset the culture. I'll tell you this. If my guy, Lucas Patrick, comes in and as a leader can't reset your culture and get you turned around and playing more physical on the offensive line, you got some work to do. So they got to reset the culture. They got to get some physical dudes in there on the O-line. Because guess what? You play in Chicago. It's windy as hell there. It's freaking garbage weather close to half the season. You got to be able to run the ball. You got to be able to mow guys down. You got to be a physical offensive line team. And the Bears have had a bunch of putzes on the offensive line for way too long. They got to beef up in drafts. They got to invest. Bears should literally go first round, second round, third round, offensive lineman. Just bone up and start from the inside out. Don't worry about drafting tackles early. Draft guards and centers first, second, third round build your strength from the inside out. As a side note,
that's what the Eagles do, but the Packers don't.
Right. Isn't somebody we wanted in last year's draft, Graham Barton, Ben? Wasn't that somebody we were kind of high on?
Yeah.
Yeah, and by halfway through the season, he was starting for the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
At center. I mean, do we know a little bit about offensive line and football? Maybe, but what do we know? All right. 100%, Chris says. Chris, you know it. Come back to our channel, subscribe, like it. Everybody, subscribe, like it. We don't usually beg for that stuff, but we'll tell you to since you're new. Sub it, like it, tell your friends. Tell anybody in Anaheim this is where they should come, even if they're Bears fans, because we talk straight truth. And also, we'll give your Bears props if they get it together, 100%. But if they suck, if they still suck, we'll say they still suck because we're truth tellers on this show. All right, Packers outright opinions. NFC North may be overrated based on the playoff results.
Maybe.
And hopefully the Buffalo Bills can get the first Super Bowl in team history this year. That's who we're pulling for on Hafen Bros. Who are you pulling for? Enjoy the championship games this weekend. And hopefully we do not end up with the Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl rematch. I'd much rather see the Bills in there. And I prefer Washington over the Eagles, but Ben doesn't give a crap. So whatever.
I don't care. As long as the Bills win.
All right. Bills win. Go Bills. John, if you ever come back, you know we're Bills fans too for AFC. All right. Peace out. Be good. Micah Hyde's the best. Personal friend of the show.
Tell me why, baby, you to come.